I've made my share of mistakes in hunting and learned lots of lessons from them too. And today I'm going to share some of them with you. Now this is not the same old tired list that you've seen before. If you want to hear some of my mistakes, smash that like button and stick around. Hopefully you can learn from some of my mess ups, this time on Surviving Duck Season.
Surviving Duck Season, offering you the best waterfowl content. Subscribe to this channel, click the notification bell, and don't miss any of our great content. Presented by Mojo Outdoors and High and Dry.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching. I'm Joel Strickland. Now, we all make mistakes, and I'm interested in hearing some of yours, so put them in the comment section below. I'm not talking about I forgot my call or my shells or to put gas in the boat or in the four-wheeler. Yeah, I've done those things. I'm not talking about mishaps from being stupid, like forgetting to lock down the ratchet on the boat winch before driving home, or driving in too deep a water with your Ranger. I did those things too. But the things I'm talking about are stuff that you may do on a regular basis that's affecting your hunt. And on this video, I'm going to share a list of 10 of mine. Now these are mistakes from all levels of hunting experience, so whether you're a novice or an advanced, this may help you. Now this list of 10 isn't in any particular order, just a list, so let's get right to it. Number 10, keep shooting at down birds until his head is down or totally out of range. This goes especially for teal. Those little jokers can get away from you and dive never to be seen again. When you don't keep shooting, it often results in either losing a bird or it increases the time that you spend recovering a bird. Number 9, being lazy about motion, jerk rigs, splashers, spinners, that sort of thing. Or just being in a rush, saying I'll put it out later if I need it. Yeah, sometimes I feel like that it's such a pain to set up all that extra stuff. You know, unless you have a good wind though, you really need it. It's better to be 5 minutes later and even miss a couple of shot opportunities and put out that jerk rig than to wait for a while. Oftentimes you blow a lot more opportunities by not having it out and waiting. If the wind is light or non-existent, put out that jerk rig. Number 8, wearing too many clothes when walking in or getting set up. Look, I'm bad about wearing a jacket and a bunch of clothes on a cold day for the Ranger ride or the boat ride into the blind, but then leaving it on when I go to put out the decoys. I wind up sweating so bad that I look like I fell in the water. Even on the coldest of days, I do a lot better when I take off my jacket and even my hoodie and just put the decoys out with a t-shirt on. It seems like it might be cold, but you wind up putting up so much body heat when you do that, you're actually not cold at all, and then you don't sweat, because when you do sweat, later on, you nearly freeze to death. So I dress minimally and keep a jacket on hand. Number 7, not being in a spot where you can see. If you can't see, you can't call birds, and you can't call the shot either. When I set up, I need to be in a spot where I can see birds working, coming in, and I should also be able to see the decoys and be able to move around a little bit so I can see behind me or off to the side so I always know where the birds are. Being able to see doesn't mean sticking out and spooking birds. Being able to see doesn't mean that everybody in the blind needs to see equally. I prefer that if you're not calling, to sit still and not look around. If you're the caller, be where you can see. Number 6, waiting too long to hunt a spot. Okay, what's that mean? Well, I hunt all private ground, and for the most part we scout and let the birds build up in several spots, sometimes for several days. And then we go in and hunt them when the conditions are right. I'm really bad about wanting to save a spot too long and then going in a day too late when the birds have left. Ducks and geese have wings, and it doesn't take much to move them out. Weather, water levels, pressure nearby, or even feeding a spot out can all happen overnight, and I've been burned a lot of times. So unless it's a rest area, hunt them when you got them. Number 5, hunting a bad hide. Well, that's when you're hunting in a blind that you don't have brushed up properly. When I look at a blind and say it's good enough, it's usually not good enough. Unless it's the beginning of the season or we're experiencing a major weather event, being hidden is one of the very most important things in waterfowl hunting. And whether I'm hunting in a permanent blind, boat blind, layout, you have to brush it in with natural cover. And it's likely that I'm going to have to do this periodically throughout the entire season, or even freshening it up on a daily basis. So be well hidden. Number 4, not taking my gun when I go after a duck. Okay, yeah, I hunt with a dog, but sometimes I go help my dog find a duck. And when I go out occasionally, I think to myself, that bird's not going anywhere, she'll get it. And I don't take my gun. Well, inevitably, the bird somehow miraculously comes back to life, and when it's well within shotgun range, but the dog nor myself are able to catch it, and then we're just standing there watching it fly away. So, always take your gun. Number 3, getting greedy and not calling the shot. Now, this one isn't necessarily a mistake. It just depends on the situation. Some guys like to shoot at birds when they get within 35 yards. But for me, I want them feet down trying to land. I don't want a passing shot at 35 yards. So I let him circle one more time. Then I say, dang, we should have shot him on that last pass. Or how many times have I let a single duck or a pair or something like that land in the decoys, and then later watch them leave while I'm still working on that big bunch that really never comes in. Look, it's a risk that pays off big time when that nice group does do it. It's a situation that makes me look like a hero or a zero, but most of the time it does work in my favor because I get to show the guys something very special. It's the times that it doesn't work that makes you really feel like it's a mistake. But that right there is a likely scenario that I'll probably repeat many, many, many times for the rest of my life, because for me, it's all about the experience of a close encounter. Number 2, waiting too long to make a change in decoys, mojos, or even changing location. Look, here's the deal. For me, if I see 2 groups of ducks, or 3 groups for sure, respond in the same way, then I can expect that most ducks are going to do the same. I don't know what it is, but all things can be the same yesterday and then today, but the ducks for some reason don't like it today. So I have to change something. If I'm hidden well, then the next thing you have to look at is calling, decoy spread, move the spinners, or maybe the ducks don't even want to be where you are at all, but you see where they're going. It's time to move. I used to be really bad about just sticking it out too long before changing something. So, be proactive and change when necessary. Here's number 1 on my list, and again, it's not in any particular order, and it's actually something kind of different than the rest of my list, but it's something that I felt like was most important to mention, even though it's not directly related to hunting. And this is about settling for cheap taxidermy. I learned a very valuable lesson when I was about 17 years old. I had shot my first pintail, and I wanted to get it mounted, as well as a nice greenhead. I looked in the yellow pages under taxidermist. Yep, it was the 80s and we used phone books back then. So I called several taxidermists to find out their prices. So this guy's 150, this guy's 135, this guy's 150, 75 bucks? That's my guy. So I took him over to him. Now this particular taxidermist was in Little Rock, and he did it out of his house. He's an older guy, and I noticed that his hand shook a lot. I never even thought about asking him to see some examples of his work. 3 months later, he calls me to let me know my birds were ready. Man, I was so excited. When I arrived to pick up my ducks, I was really disappointed though. Thought I was going to throw up. Yeah, they were horrible. They looked like they were just mashed against the wall. There was no driftwood. Definitely did not look lifelike. Well, I was embarrassed and really didn't even know how to handle it, but I paid the guy and left with my 2 ducks feeling super ripped off. Well, several months later, they started stinking really bad, and they went into the trash. But not before a couple of my friends saw them. Both of them asked me if the shaky man had mounted them. I definitely learned my lesson on that deal. Use a great taxidermist. Okay, so that's my list. What are some of the things on your list? Do some of the things on my list resonate with you? Let me know in the comment section below. Let's all learn from one another. Okay, now for the shot of the week. This is a really cool piece of footage I shot a few years ago of a drake mallard coming into a spot where we broke open a hole in the ice. Look how his colors pop in the sun. Thanks for watching, everyone. I've got some new content coming out every week, so make sure that you subscribe so you don't miss any of our content. From hunting tips to hunting videos, cooking, and everything in between. Here's some good ones to watch right here and right here. Until next time, good hunting and God bless.